in December 2020. It was in Kankara, in Katsina local government area. Fast forward, February, that's about 10 days ago, it was in Kagara in Niger State. And now, just in the wake of just today, we had cause to experience another abduction of hundreds of schoolgirls in Zamfara State. What is going on? Barely 3 months in a row, we've experienced 3 kidnappings of school students in different parts of northern Nigeria. Not to talk of the pocket of kidnapping going on here and there, and some forms of harassment of students in some schools somewhere. Now, this is a bitter pill, difficult for many to swallow, and as parents, handlers of students, as well as other guardians, they're concerned about safety of students in schools, be they in the boarding schools or regular day schools. And I'm sure this development is having everyone indeed ask the questions: what next? Who next? Where next? But most importantly, how do we keep our schools safe and the students right there to have that education that will change the development of the nation, or bring about development of the nation? That's our focus on Nigeria today. My name is Blessing Abu. You'll be joining my guests in a short while after this break. Joining me to discuss safe schools this time around, against the backdrop of the latest abductions, we'd like to welcome public affairs analyst, Barrister Mike Osao. It's a long time we've seen him around, and I'm sure he's been doing a lot of things.
Thanks a lot.
Barrister Osao, welcome to the program.
Thanks. Good to see you again.
Okay. Joining Barrister Mike Osao on the program is Dominion Ajom. It's a pilot of a security and counter-terrorism awareness program for schools nationwide, and also the Chief Executive Officer, DZ Global Safety and Security Limited. Yes, welcome, Dominion Ajom.
Thank you very much.
I notice it's one area that you're so passionate about, and I know on one of our other programs, we had cause to discuss this safe schools. Welcome to the program once more.
Thank you very much.
Yes, just 3 months in a row. It's just from one state to another, one local government to another, and I'm sure the trepidation will be where next. Schools are increasingly becoming soft targets. Students are wary of even going to schools this day. Why are we in these developments, if we just for the want of word, how did we get to this point? Sajom.
Well, thank you very much. I think I would like to open up by saying in Nigeria here, response to security challenges have always been reactive. Whereas response to security challenges is supposed to be proactive. We have never learned how to plan ahead. We have never learned how to be a step ahead of these hoodlums. This has become the order of the day, yet it's still business as usual, which is not supposed to be the case. Today it's happening here, tomorrow is the other place. We begin to wonder, like you rightly said, where next? We don't know what is happening. I feel it's about time we begin to think, if we cannot provide enough security for boarding schools, I think for now we should put boarding schools on hold and provide adequate security for their schools, so that after school, every child goes back to stay with the parents. It's not possible for these hoodlums to go from house to house and cut away with hundreds of children. So I think we need to do something about it. Thank you.
Okay. Barrister Mike Osao.
Well, Blessing, it's a very sad moment for our country, Nigeria, and my heart, and I'm sure the hearts of many other Nigerians, will go out to the parents of these kids. One thing you didn't mention, Blessing, is the fact that just yesterday we laid down to rest 7 Nigerian heroes who lost their lives only last Sunday. And they were, of course, the mission they were undertaking before they lost their lives in that tragic crash. So coming just a few hours after they were laid to rest, this is very, very sad. And I totally agree with my colleague John that we need to be a bit more proactive. I think a time has come when government just has to listen to the experts in terms of what measures do we take. The question is, the focus has always been on the president, rightly so. The president is where the buck stops. But there are a number of other officers right under the president that have certain responsibilities. And one of these agencies or officers that we have not really factored into the equation is the Department of State Service. All the 36 states in Nigeria have directors of security. And if I'm not mistaken, all the 774 local governments all have personnel within of the DSS. So why is it that it is only when this matter has happened that we're now running after them? Blessed, is it possible to, abduct more than 100 kids or people or whatever without anything being heard about it? If we had, high-level intelligence. Even if we didn't, we're in a situation where we need to heighten our intelligence gathering mechanism. Someone asked the other day that, do we need to have soldiers, police, security, and all of that in all schools? No, that's not what we're asking for. That's practically impossible. It has not happened in any part of the world. But we know that we're in 2021, blessing. We're not in 1821. We have the technology at our disposal. We have specialized training at our disposal. So why is it that constantly, like he said, it's only after it has happened that we suddenly remember we have to run after these people? It is not right at all.
There are considerations that having seen this development occurred in 2 different locations, that certainly there are high-risk areas that security apparatus should be directed in these guys, and it's just happened to follow the same pattern. Attack in the night, the schools are just
exactly. Very predictable
so what
pattern,
exactly? So what is not adding up in what effort? What are the different tiers of government you've mentioned, Mike, and also to actually put them on alert?
So, Blessing, when Kankara happened, I don't know about you, but I haven't heard that anybody has lost his job. When Kagara, we're still battling with the Kagara issue, but it is most likely that even after Kagara and what happened today, nobody is likely to lose their jobs. So this is the problem. If you are a DSS official and you are assigned to a particular local government and this happens right under your watch, you should be put through, you should be subjected through the disciplinary process, and you should show cause why disciplinary action shouldn't be taken against you. I think this is what we need to do now. And I'm not talking of just DSS. We have civil defense also. This is not about just the armed forces. The constitutional responsibility of the armed forces is very clear. And like you said, Blessing, we have a pretty much predictable pattern of these abductions. By now, I expect we should have learned certain lessons, and we should be responding to them as they come.
Okay. All right, John. We talked about this in another program, and some of the things we raised, or the concerns we raised, were issues of what the schools are put in place, since they know that there are similar patterns in the attacks. Over time, we've had series from Chibok to Dapchi to Buniyadi and some other things. It's the same pattern. Yes. Are we learning anything at all, if at all we're doing that?
Well, we don't seem to be learning anything. If we were learning, we would have taken steps that would be able to counter these attacks as they come. Well, I am thinking, like I've always said, that security, yes, is a collective responsibility. So if we must really tackle this properly, all hands must be on deck. So looking at the school system now, the managers and operators of schools, both public and private, having seen that this has become the order of the day, should make sure they beef up security in their schools. Now, like I did mention earlier, these attacks are happening repeatedly at night. Now we can deploy technology, take advantage of it this period, because now if we have surveillance over these schools, it will be very easy for the security operatives to get a first-hand information and respond quickly. And like I always mention, these people don't just go and carry out these attacks. Sometimes they carry out espionage activities. Absolutely. Where they go and spy the school and see and ascertain how they're going to break through, or without any form of resistance. Now, if they take these steps, we should equally carry out surveillance, over the schools, to the point that we should be able to get this information passed on to the relevant authority in good time. Absolutely. So that they can act. And there are times we should be on the offensive, not just on the defensive. We should not be reactive, we should be proactive. Absolutely. I think we need to ensure that even the parents who are the owners of these children should not send their children to school and go and sleep. They should know that they have a role to play, given that today this has become the era of the day in our society. They say the only thing that is permanent in life is change. Let's move with the change. It's a dynamic war.
Okay, gentlemen, we'll go on a break now. When we return, certainly as the situation is getting really out of hand for people, I'm sure there are palpable fears from parents even to send their students to schools now. It's one thing that people have to actually look for this school fees, and then the next thing will now be your heart is in your mouth. That's what will happen to my child, or any of your workers actually too, who could be relatives of such children. So we'll be finding out more about keeping the schools safe in the midst of all the activities of the kidnappers and other abductors that we have come to witness today. You're watching Nigeria Today. We'll be right back after this break. If you just tuned in, the program is Nigeria Today, and our focus is on safe schools in the wake of the recent spate of schools kidnapping in the country. And we've been talking with Barrister Michael Sarah and Dominion Ajo. So, gentlemen, let's take a look at one other direction. Just before the break, I made mention of people actually trying to get their students to schools. And in the wake of the different kidnapping in the past 6-7 years, we know what has been going on from Chibok to Dapchi and some other parts of the country. It's not just in the northern parts now, because we know that issue of kidnapping to southwest that we know about. And students definitely will be wary going to schools now, because you don't even know where next, like we already pointed out. How do we keep the students safe in school is our preoccupation now. Barrister Sarah, let's get your view on that. From southwest to south-south, of course, northeast, northwest, we've experienced this issue of kidnapping, and the students really, can they trust what they have as education going on?
Yes, I agree. Again, I'm compelled to agree with my colleague John when he says that security is a collective responsibility. There's no question about that. But let's not also forget that it turns out it is the primary responsibility of government. So while it is a collective responsibility of everyone, it happens to be the primary responsibility of government. So we need for government to take the lead in this process. I'm happy that the Northern Governors Forum convened a security meeting in Kaduna just yesterday, and I think this attack happened early hours of today, maybe a daring response to the kind of conversation that emanated from Kaduna. We should see more of those kinds of forums, you know. Even at the national level, I would expect that the president, under the auspices of the National Security Advisor, should immediately convene a security summit, and the government must be willing to learn lessons from experts that are all over the place. You don't have, you know, how would I put it? The government does not have the monopoly of knowledge how to respond to this issue. But there's a rich knowledge base out there, and I think government needs to really consider falling back on this rich knowledge base that we have.
Okay.
In fact, it won't cost us anything if we have to go even outside of this country to ask for help, you know. But have we even exhausted the remedies that are available to us at the local level?
Okay, and I know some of the, before I get Sergeant to respond to the same question I put to you, you're a lawyer, and I know for everyone who want to actually have time to mediate and negotiate ways out, and these are areas that people are of great concern that why should we actually negotiate? It's because we've been having this situation being played with kid gloves that it's giving some kind of emboldening moments to these people to perpetrate further acts. What is the place of negotiation, mediation, or even paying ransom when it comes to a law to actually safeguard the people?
Well, I mean, for me, really, there are two positions on this issue, Blessing. When you are in a vulnerable position like we currently are, you have no choice but to negotiate. But also, if you're in a position of strength and you're able to call the shots and all of that, then you can say no to negotiation, or you can negotiate from the position of strength. Now we're vulnerable. Our kids are vulnerable. Our schools are open. We do not have the kind of security that we should have around our schools. So imagine you have 300 kids and you say you're not going to talk to anyone. They're criminals and all of that. Of course they are criminals and all of that. But are you going to allow the 300, endanger the lives of 300 children because you want to remain, you know, maybe morally upright or in tune with what the law says? This is something. It's a tightrope to walk, Blessing. But we, like I said, we need a larger gathering of people who can share their thoughts and ideas as far as this issue is concerned, and how best we can then respond to the situation in the way we are right now.
Okay. Mr. John, of course, working with the schools being your passion, and it's something that is still topmost even at this critical time. Safe School Initiative and other means with which you have worked with some other partners, NANTAP and some other bodies that are involved. What is the conversation like these days?
Well, I think, like you did mention, NAPTAN. NAPTAN is National Parents Teachers Association. Now, these are the parents of the children. Nobody can be more concerned about the child than the parents. So I think it is about time that the government come into partnership with bodies like this. Since 2015, we together, my company, NAPTAN, that's National Parents Teachers Association, National Orientation Agency, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Of course, you cannot overrule the rule of drugs when it comes to insecurity. And also Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. We have gone round the 6 geopolitical zones, creating awareness. We just carried out a pilot. All that it needed was for the government to show interest, to ensure that now we go out. You know, you cannot give out what you do not have. Now we're talking about involvement by the schools, the parents, and the communities. How will they get involved when they are not informed? And you will agree with me that lack of information will always lead to a deformation. So all we are asking for is, now that NAPTAN have decided to spearhead this cause, I mean, all hands should be on deck. They should get the relevant support so they can step down this to the grassroots, so that within the schools, like they do it, a program that is based on representation. We have people from the side of the parents, from the students, from the teachers, non-teaching staff, from the community, come together, and we get experts to talk to them on what to do, when to do it, and how to do it to guide against issues like this. I think this will go a long way to salvaging the situation.
Barrister Osa?
Sounds nice. I mean, I agree with him, but Blessing, again, this is probably the time for us to begin to think in terms of prioritizing the average Nigerian life. Before this happened, we were almost forgetting that anything happened in Kagara a few days ago. I was just having a conversation with him before we came in here, and I was saying, it appears the average Nigerian life is, there's nothing really attached to it. Oh, 300 guys drowned at sea. Oh, poor guys. What's the match we're watching this evening? And we move on, So we need really to get back to where we would say that we're attaching significance to the quality of life of the average Nigerian, even if it is one person.
Is the average Nigerian giving up on governance and protection and living generally, from your own point of view?
Well, I mean, we all have that responsibility, and it's both a public and a private responsibility. The government should see the lives of average Nigerians as very important. Nigerians themselves must see the lives of others as very important. I think, for me, that's the philosophical background from which we should spring into action in response to what we're experiencing in Nigeria at the moment. Because if you don't think that 10 lives, 20 lives, or 15 lives matter, then you probably won't see that 100 lives or 200 lives matter. So even if it is half a life, if there's anything like that, it should matter. If it is 1, 2, 5, it should matter to us all, government and the citizens alike. But like I said earlier on, the primary reason why people have governments at all is so that the government will ensure the security and their security and welfare. So government has to be in the forefront. It's a collective responsibility, like he said, but we all don't have an equal responsibility. Government has to lead the way, and others will then follow. This is my point.
Okay. Finally, Sergeant, what else should matter for schools such that we will not have a compromise on what kind of security they have put in place to, well, at least before you get the intervention of the local government, state, as the case may be? What else should matter for schools at this critical point?
Well, thank you very much. I think, like I did mention, the only thing that is constant in life is change. Now the change has come. Schools should learn to embrace this change and know that it's no longer business as usual. It's not just enough to start off a school or open up a school, maybe in the case of private school or public schools. We should know that running a school now demands more than just having to teach the students history and mathematics. You have to begin with the security, because once there is no security, you are not getting anywhere with whatever you are doing. Sure. So primarily, they should put the security first. I think it's about time for government to have like a template for schools, that before you run a school, this, that must be put in place. Sure. And they should see to it that they adhere to this strongly. Otherwise, they should not allow that school to run. So when we get to this point, they will know that it's now serious business and no longer business as usual. They put those things in place before they go ahead.
Domino Ajo, MD, CEO, DZ Global Safety and Security Limited. We appreciate your insights on the program today. Thank you very much. Also like to appreciate Public Affairs Analyst, Barrister Michael Saha. Thank you so much, too, for coming on the program.
My pleasure. Blessing.
We also appreciate your viewership. Nigeria Today is live at 7:30 in the evening every weekday. But you can watch this edition as well as other editions of the program online at youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. My name is Blessing Abu. Enjoy the rest of the day.